You were taught to be helpful. You were taught to be agreeable. You were taught that the way to be valued is to make other people comfortable. And now you check your phone after every message you send. You refresh the group chat to see if anyone reacted. You watch how your boss responds to your email. You study your partner's face after you speak. You are not connecting. You are auditing yourself in real time. And the reason you do this is simple. You were never taught to generate your own authority. You were taught to borrow it from the reactions of others. Let me show you what that looks like. You send a long message explaining your position. You lay out your reasoning. You try to be clear. And then you wait. You wait to see if they understood. You wait to see if they are true. You wait to see if they respect you now. But what actually happened is you gave them a quiz. You turned yourself into a defendant. You handed them the power to judge whether your thoughts were good enough. That is not communication. That is submission dressed as clarity. Here is another one. You are in a meeting. Someone challenges your idea, and immediately you feel the need to defend it. You explain further. You add context. You try to prove you thought it through. But the moment you started defending, you lost. Because now the frame is whether your idea can survive their scrutiny. You are no longer the person with vision. You are the person hoping to pass their test, and they did not earn the right to test you. You gave it to them the second you reacted. One more. You post something online. A photo. A thought. A moment. And then you check back. You want to see the likes. You want to see the comments. You want to see if people noticed. And if no one responds, you feel invisible. If they do respond, you feel seen. But neither reaction came from you. You outsourced your sense of existence to an audience that does not even know you. You are not building a life. You are creating a display. And every time you check, you are asking permission to feel real. This is not a connection. This is psychological dependency. And the worst part is, it was trained into you. You were rewarded for being useful. You were praised for being easy. You were valued when you made someone else feel good. And now your nervous system is wired to seek feedback before it can relax. You do not trust your own reading of reality. You need someone else to confirm it first. That is not humility. That is not emotional intelligence. That is control. And you have been controlled so long, you think the leash is a relationship. Nietzsche saw this clearly. He called it slave morality, the belief that your value is determined by how others receive you, the belief that being good means being liked, the belief that power is destructive and meekness is noble. And it is a lie. It is a lie told to people so they stay manageable, so they stay predictable, so they never build the kind of authority that threatens the structure, and you accepted it. You accepted it because it felt safe. But safety is not the same as strength. Safety is just another control word you agreed to. This video will show you 7 psychological reversals, 7 places where you think you are connecting, but you are actually submitting. 7 places where you feel you are being mature, but you are actually being managed. And by the end, you will understand why silence is more powerful than explanation. Why distance creates more respect than closeness. Why the people who need you least control you most. Most of you will not finish this video. You will feel uncomfortable and leave. And that is fine, because this is not for people who want to feel better. This is for people who want to see clearly. Put your phone face down and listen. If this hit you, write "I am the strategist" once in the comments, just to mark the day your mindset changed. You think explaining yourself is respect. You think clarity is care. You think that if you just say it the right way, people will finally understand you. But that is not what explanation does. Explanation does not create understanding. It creates a courtroom. And the moment you start explaining, you become the defendant. You are no longer someone with a position. You are someone asking for approval of that position. And the person listening is no longer your equal. They are your judge. Watch what happens in real time. Someone questions your decision. Maybe it is your tone. Maybe it is your boundary. Maybe it is the fact that you said no. And immediately you feel pressure. Pressure to justify. Pressure to prove you are not being unreasonable. Pressure to show them you thought it through. So you explain. You walk them through your reasoning. You give context. You try to help them see your side. And the entire time, you think you are being mature. You think you are being the bigger person. But what you actually did is you stepped into their frame. You accepted the premise that you owe them an explanation. You accepted the premise that their confusion is your responsibility, and now they are not relating to you. They are evaluating you. This is not collaboration. This is a power transfer, and you made it happen. You volunteered for it. Because somewhere along the way, you were taught that being understood is more important than being respected. But Nietzsche knew better. He knew that the people who are constantly explaining themselves are the people who need permission to exist. They need someone else to validate their choices before they can stand behind them, and that need is a leash. It does not matter how intelligent your explanation is. It does not matter how reasonable your logic sounds. The moment you needed them to agree, you gave them authority over you. Here is the inversion. The people who never explain are the people you do not question. You do not ask your boss why they made a decision. You do not ask someone with a frame why they set a boundary. You do not interrogate people who carry authority. You just accept it. And the reason you accept it is that they never gave you the option to evaluate them. They did not hand you a case to review. They stated reality and moved on. And that refusal to explain is what created the authority in the first place. You see this in relationships. One person is always explaining, always defending, always trying to prove they are not the problem, and the other person barely says anything. They just listen, they just observe, and somehow they have all the power because they never entered the frame. They never accepted the idea that their choices need approval, and the person explaining is spiraling. They are trying to close the gap. They are trying to get the other person to validate them, but the gap is the power. The silence is the power, and every explanation makes it worse. You think you are being transparent. You think you are being emotionally available. But what you are actually doing is performing. You are performing your reasonableness. You are performing your thoughtfulness. You are performing your care. And the performance only happens when you do not trust that your presence alone is enough. When you do not trust that your boundary alone is legitimate. When you do not trust that your frame is solid without their agreement. And that lack of trust is what they feel. That is what makes them push harder. That is what makes them test you more. Because you are not standing in your authority. You are campaigning for it. Here is what you do instead. You stop explaining. Not because you are cold, not because you are dismissive, but because you understand that explanation is a request. And you are not requesting anything. You made a decision. You set a boundary. You took a position, and that position does not need their approval to be real. If they do not understand, that is not your emergency. If they disagree, that is not your problem to solve. If they are confused, they will either figure it out or they will not. But you are not building a case. You are not defending your reality. You are standing in it, and that is what shifts the frame. You think closeness is a connection. You think availability is love. The more access someone has to you, the more they will value you. But that is not how value works. Value does not come from presence. It comes from scarcity. And the reason you are not valued the way you want to be valued is that you are too available. You are too reachable. You are too easy to predict. And when something is easy to access, it stops being precious. It starts being furniture. Look at your relationships. The people you are always available for, the people you always respond to, the people you rearrange your life to accommodate. How do they treat you? Do they respect your time? Do they protect your energy? Do they value your attention? Or do they assume it? Do they expect it? Do they take it for granted and get upset when you are not there? Because that is what happens when you are too close. You stop being a person, you become a resource. And resources do not get respected, they get used. Nietzsche understood this. He understood that proximity without boundaries creates contempt. He understood that people do not value what is always within reach. They value what they have to earn, what they have to wait for, what they might lose. And if you are always there, they never have to earn you. They never have to wait. They never have to wonder if you will stay. So they stop trying. They stop appreciating. They stop seeing you because you made yourself invisible by being everywhere at once. This is the trap of the servant. The servant believes that love is service. That connection is availability. That loyalty is a sacrifice. And so they give everything. They are always on call, always responsive, always accommodating. And they think this is what makes them good. This is what makes them worthy. But all it does is train people to expect more, to demand more, to feel entitled to more. Because you never taught them that access to you has a cost. You never taught them that your time is finite. You never taught them that you are not a utility. You are a person. And people who do not protect their presence do not get treated like people. They get treated like tools. Here's what happens when you create distance by stopping being available all the time. When you stop responding immediately, when you stop rearranging your schedule to fit everyone else, people notice. They do not notice because they miss you. They notice because they feel the absence of control. They feel the loss of certainty. They feel the gap where your predictability used to be. And that gap makes them think. It makes them wonder. It makes them reconsider how they have been treating you, because now you are not guaranteed. Now you are not automatic. Now you are something they might lose. That is when respect starts, not when you are close, when you are scarce, not when you are available, when you are selective, not when you are easy, when you are uncertain. And the people who get angry when you create distance are the ones who benefited from your availability. They are not upset because they care about you. They are upset because they lost access to you, and their anger proves you were right to pull back. You think being close to someone means you matter to them, but closeness without boundaries does not make you matter. It makes you expect. It makes you default. It makes you the person they do not have to think about because you will always be there. In the moment you are always going to be there, you stop being a priority. You become background. You become the person they check in with when no one else is available. The person they vent to when they are bored. The person they expect to understand when they disappear for weeks. Because you train them, they believe that your presence requires no effort. Distance is not cruelty. Distance is calibration. It is the recalibration of value. It is the reassertion of cost. It is the reminder that access to you is not a right. It is a privilege, and privileges can be revoked. When you pull back, you are not playing games. You are not manipulating. You are correcting an imbalance. You are restoring the respect that closeness eroded, and the people who respect that distance are the people worth keeping close. The people who fight it are the ones who never valued you in the first place. They were valuing what you gave them. You think reaction is strength. You think standing up for yourself means responding. You believe that if someone disrespects you and you stay silent, you lose. But that is not what silence does. Silence does not mean you lost. It means you refuse to play. And refusal is the highest form of power, because the moment you react, you enter their frame. You accept their premise. You agree that their opinion matters enough to defend against, and that agreement is what gives them control. Watch how it works. Someone insults you. Someone insults you. Someone tries to provoke you, and immediately your body wants to respond. Your ego wants to correct them. Your pride wants to prove them wrong. So you say something back. You defend yourself. You explain why they are mistaken. And the entire time, you think you are standing your ground. But you are not. You are dancing. You are dancing in a frame they created. They set the terms. They chose the battlefield, and you showed up. That is what reaction does. It confirms that their move mattered. It confirms that their words had weight. It confirms that they have the power to pull you out of your center. And now you are not in control of yourself. They are. They said something, and you moved. They pushed a button, and you responded. That is not a strength. That is automation. You are automated, and automated people are easy to control, because all someone has to do is press the right button, and you will do exactly what they expect. Nietzsche called this ressentiment. The reactive stance, the position of someone who only moves in response to others, someone who does not act from their own will. They only react to the will of others. And that makes them weak, not because they are not capable, but because they are not sovereign. They do not govern themselves. They are governed by whoever can provoke them. And the moment you are governed by provocation, you are not free. You are a puppet, and the strings are made of your own pride. Here is the inversion. When you do not react, you do not lose. You win by default, because the person who tried to provoke you just spent energy. They made a move. They tried to get a response, and they got nothing. That nothing is not weakness. That nothing is refusal. That nothing is you saying without words that their frame does not apply to you, that their judgment does not land, that their provocation has no target, and that refusal is what flips the power. Because now they are the one who looks desperate. They took a shot and missed. They tried to pull you in and you did not move, and that stillness makes them uncomfortable. It makes them doubt. It makes them wonder if they matter at all. And that doubt is the loss of control. They do not control you. They do not move you. They do not affect you. And people who cannot affect you cannot control you. You see this everywhere. Someone sends a passive-aggressive message. You do not respond. They send another. Still nothing. Now they are spiraling. Now they are wondering what you are thinking. Now they are imagining scenarios. And all of that is happening because you did not give them the reaction they wanted. You refused to participate. And that refusal transferred all the tension back to them. They are holding it now, not you. This is not avoidance. This is sovereignty. Avoidance is when you are silent because you are afraid. Sovereignty is when you are silent because you are uninterested. Avoidance is flight. Sovereignty is dismissal. And dismissal is more violent than any comeback you could deliver. Because a comeback says you care enough to fight. Dismissal says you do not care enough to notice. And being beneath notice is the ultimate loss of status. You think needing people makes you human. You think dependence is a connection. You think vulnerability is strength. And in some contexts, it is. But when your need for someone becomes the foundation of the relationship, you are not connecting. You are submitting. Because the person who needs less control in the relationship, and if you always need more, you are always being controlled. Look at the relationships where you feel powerless, the ones where you are always wondering where you stand, the ones where you are always trying to secure their affection, the ones where you are always afraid of losing them. What do all of those relationships have in common? You need them more than they need you, and that imbalance is the source of every power game they play. Because they know you will tolerate more. They know you will forgive more. They know you will accept less. Because losing them feels like losing yourself. That is the cost of need. It makes you negotiable. It makes you flexible in ways you should not be. It makes you excuse behavior you would never accept from someone you did not need. And the person on the other side feels that need. They feel it in how quickly you respond. They feel it in how much you tolerate. They feel it in how you never really leave. And once they feel it, the dynamic is set. You are the person who stays. They are the person who decides if you get to. Nietzsche had no patience for this. He believed that dependence was a form of decay, that needing others for your sense of self was psychological slavery. That strength was the ability to stand alone. And he was right. Not because the connection is bad, but because a connection built on need is not a connection. It is a transaction. You give them power. They give you the feeling of being wanted. But that feeling is not real. It is just the temporary relief of not being alone. And the moment you threaten to take your needs elsewhere, they either panic or let you go. And which one they choose tells you everything. Here is the test. Imagine the person you feel most dependent on. Now imagine you stopped needing them. Imagine you had everything you needed inside yourself. Imagine they could leave, and you would be fine. Would the relationship survive? Or was the relationship only alive because of your fear of losing it? Because of your need is the only thing holding it together. It is not a relationship. It is a hostage situation. And you are the hostage. The solution is not to stop caring. The solution is to stop needing. To care about people without requiring them to complete you. To value people without giving them the power to destroy you. To be close without being dependent. And that shift is terrifying. Because it means you might lose people. You might lose people who only stayed because you needed them. Who only valued you because you made them feel powerful, who only kept you around because you were useful. And losing those people feels like a loss. But it is not. It is clarity. When you stop needing, you start seeing. You see who actually values you versus who values what you provide. You see who stays when you are inconvenient versus who only shows up when you are easy. You see who respects your boundaries versus who punishes you for having them. And that clarity is brutal. But it is also freedom. Because now you are not managing relationships out of fear. You are choosing them from strength. The people who need you least are the people you trust most. Because they are not staying for what you give them. They are staying because they want to. And that is the only foundation worth building on. Not need, not fear, not dependence, but choice. Mutual, unforced, uncoerced choice. And if someone cannot choose you without you needing them first, they were never choosing you. They were choosing control. You think your value comes from what you do, from how much you give, for how helpful you are, from how much you sacrifice. And so you perform. You perform usefulness. You perform care. You perform loyalty. And you think that performance is what makes people keep you, but it does not. It makes them use you. And the moment you stop performing, you will see how conditional their respect was. Because it was never about you. It was about what you did for them. This is the trap of the provider. The person who believes their worth is tied to their function. And so they function endlessly. They are always doing something for someone. Always available, always giving, always useful. And they think this is love. They think this is valuable. But all it is an audition that never ends. An audition where you are constantly proving you deserve to stay. And the moment you stop proving it, you are replaceable. Nietzsche saw this as the morality of the weak. The belief that being good means being useful to others. The belief that self-sacrifice is noble. The belief that your value is earned through service. And he rejected it. Not because the service is wrong, but because a service built on fear is not a virtue. It is survival. It is the behavior of someone who does not believe they are valuable unless they are doing something. And that belief makes you a tool. It makes you an object. It makes you someone others use and then forget. Here's what happens when you stop performing. When you stop being the one who always helps. When you stop being the one who always gives. When you stop being the one who always shows up. People get confused. They ask what is wrong. They ask why you changed. They say you are being distant. You are being cold. You are not yourself. And what they mean is, you are not useful anymore. You are not playing the role they assigned you. And that loss of utility feels like betrayal to them because they never valued you. They valued what you did, and that is the filter. The people who stay when you stop performing are the people who see you. The people who leave are the people who only saw your function, and losing them is not a loss, it is liberation, because you were never in a relationship with them. You were in a contract, and the terms of that contract were that you give and they receive. And the moment you stopped giving, the contract ended. This is why silence is more powerful than effort. Why is distance more clarifying than closeness? Doing less reveals more than doing more. Because when you stop performing, you stop hiding. You stop hiding behind usefulness. You stop hiding behind sacrifice. You stop hiding behind the idea that if you just give enough, people will finally see your worth. And what you discover is brutal. Most people never saw your worth. They saw your utility. And the moment your utility decreased, so did their interest. But the people who remain, the people who stay when you are no longer convenient, when you are no longer always available, when you are no longer performing, those people are real. Those people see you as more than a function. And those are the only people worth your energy. Everyone else was just managing you, using you, extracting value, and calling it friendship, calling it love, calling it loyalty. But it was none of those things. It was just a transaction, and you were too busy performing to notice. You were trained to seek validation, trained to look outside yourself for proof that you matter, trained to measure your worth by how others respond to you. And that training is why you are controllable. Because the moment your sense of self depends on external feedback, you are no longer sovereign. You are a slave to perception, and whoever controls the perception controls you. This is not about becoming cold. This is not about isolation. This is about reclaiming authority. The authority to define yourself. The authority to set your own frame. The authority to exist without permission. And that authority only comes when you stop asking, when you stop explaining, when you stop performing, when you stop needing, when you stop reacting, when you stop waiting for the world to confirm that you are real. Nietzsche called this the will to power. Not power over others, power over yourself. The ability to stand in your own frame without needing the world to agree with it. The ability to make decisions without requiring validation. The ability to be alone without feeling invisible. And that ability is what separates the sovereign from the slave. The slave needs the crowd. The sovereign creates the crowd. Here is your challenge. For the next 7 days, do not explain yourself, not once. When someone questions you, do not defend. When someone misunderstands you, do not correct. When someone wants you to justify your choices, stay silent and watch what happens. Watch how uncomfortable it makes you. Watch how much pressure you feel to fix it. And then, Watch how the other person responds. Watch how they either respect the boundary or reveal that they never respected you. This is not a game, this is a recalibration. You are resetting the terms. You are teaching people that access to your reasoning is not guaranteed, that your decisions do not require their approval, that you are not a defendant in a court they created. You are the authority, and authority does not explain, it states. If you got value from this, like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you want more. But do not do it for me. Do it because you recognize that this perspective is rare, and rare things are worth protecting. If this hit you, write "I am the strategist" once in the comments, just to mark the day your mindset changed. You are not here to be liked. You are here to be sovereign, and sovereignty is not given, it is taken. Take it.